Well, hello everyone. I'm glad you're here today, and I want to start off by sharing a few words about the importance of the opportunity that we have in front of us this very specific day. The opportunity that we have to come to a clearer place in our heart and our mind to find a better and true way. You know, these opportunities that present ourselves are somewhat hard and somewhat difficult. This I totally understand. But I'm here today to help you see, to find that way that you can make a different stand. I know the opportunities that present themselves aren't always the easiest thing to overcome. You know, life throws many struggles at us. I really understand this because I am one of those that has struggled myself. You know, the struggles are what make us. The struggles are the things that make us who we are. The struggles are the things that build us up and will let us go very far. The things that have happened in my life are the things that have molded me to the person I have become. I understand this truly. I want you to be one of those that will also overcome. But there is an importance that we must find. This must is getting to the answer yes, not taking no anymore. Finding yes, getting to that ultimate score is what we need to do even more. So getting to yes, that is our goal today. Getting to yes, whether we find it in this place or the next, getting to yes is what we must do. So tell me, is your heart, is your want, and your desire today true? Getting to yes, that is the name of our speech. This is the name of our presentation today. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Joe Hahne, and I am glad to be with you here today. Getting to yes. How do we get to yes? Well, it's an important thing that we have to look at. You know, as a society, we take no as an answer that is acceptable and okay. I'm here to say no, it's not okay. Not anymore. Not anymore. Let's find a way to get to yes. Everybody's good with that? Absolutely. I don't like taking no for an answer. So, how do we get to that yes? Well, let me tell you a story before we go any further. I was sound asleep one night, and I was woke by a voice. And this voice wakes me up, and I sat on the side of the bed, and this voice asked me, he goes, Joe, where do you keep your most precious and treasured valuables? The things that you revere the most. And I sat and thought to myself, well, I guess I would keep those things in a bank, a safe, or I would keep them hidden away in a safe place. And then the voice asked, are you sure that's the only place you keep them? I go, yes. He goes, well, that's exactly where I keep my most valuable things as well. In a safe place, hidden away, because they are so valuable. And as I sat there on the side of the bed, I saw a beautiful imagery of prisons, recovery centers, places of people getting help. I saw the beautiful faces of people with developmental disabilities, those people that struggle with psychiatric problems, and those people that have struggled with drug addiction for most of their lives. I was shown that these were the most valuable things. These are the ones that hold the most value. These are the ones that hold the greatest potential to overcome life's struggles. These are the ones. And then seemingly in a matter of moments, these ones that struggle with disabilities or psychiatric problems, those that are behind prison bars or have been there, or those that struggle with drug addiction, they grew into giants. And they seemingly started delivering those that have been struggling the most. They were the ones that no one knew. These were the most valuable treasures because they held the most potential of all. They are the one that understood the struggles of life. And they are the ones that could bring redemption and could help those with the struggles that they dealt with today. Yes, I'm talking about everyone here. You have a story and you have the opportunity. You are the outcast of society, the ones that have been looked over for so long. But you hold the greatest potential if you so choose today. Wow, gets me excited just thinking about these things. Almost like if you know any Bible stories, you think of David going after Goliath. A small boy in stature, a sheep herder if you will, but he had the want to overcome and find that answer. Yes, I can do it. He wanted to get to yes. So, I hope that excites you, that you have inside of you today the potential to start over, start new, build on what you've already have in your life. I want to tell you a little bit about my story. I was set up perfectly in the beginning of my life. I was a pretty good athlete in high school. Had family that loved me so much. Had potential to do anything that I wanted. Did well in school. But you know what? Even though that I was blessed at a very young age, I took it all for granted. I did not realize the opportunity that I held inside. So, I found myself in a world of deceit, lies, manipulation. I found myself in a life of darkness, a life of drug addiction. I found myself lying my way into problems and out of problems more than I could possibly imagine. I found myself in such a life of despair. I did not know where to turn. And then I finally found myself in a prison, lost and lonely in a jail cell, not knowing what to do, not knowing that I had potential in my life. I accepted in my life so many times no, or I was not worthy, or no, you're not good enough. I never wanted to get to yes. But there was that time when I got so lonely, I found myself in a jail cell, and I found myself so upset, I did not know what to do. It was at that time of my life that my little niece broke my heart. She'd asked my father what she had done wrong, that I did not want to stay home with her on her birthday. Wow, it was a very trying moment for me in my life. My actions had affected someone else greatly to the point that they thought they had done something wrong. What had I done? Who could have ever thought that they had done something wrong because of my own selfish wants and desires? My heart broke. My heart absolutely broke as I understood that the choices I made affected many other people. So I decided that I want to turn my life around. But having all those years of destruction and being upset and not knowing which way to turn and accepting no for so long, I have to change so much about me to even understand the idea of getting to yes. I am one of those that if you tell me don't do that, I'll be the quickest to run over here and say, I'm going to do just that. There's many of you in this room, I see you shaking your heads today. Yes, you are those that say, don't touch the hot burner, and the next thing you hear is, ow, that's hot. So I get to that point where I want to change my life. I have to challenge myself to a point that I would want to overcome because of the challenge that I set forth in my own mind. Joyce Myers wrote a good book, The Battlefield of the Mind. I love this book because it taps into the understanding that we have so much power inside ourselves that we don't tap into or use. So I'm asking you today. I realize that some here, you struggle with being in a wheelchair. You struggle with having to stay on medication because of psychiatric services. Or those that are overcoming drug abuse and need assistance, you use the medicated assisted treatment. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with any of these things, but I understand some have physical, noticeable disabilities. That doesn't matter. Everything on the outside doesn't affect what's on the inside. We are all beautiful, each one of us. And we all have the same ability if we choose yes today. So how do you get to that yes? I came up with a challenge as I left prison, and that challenge was that I was going to overcome what I had done in the past by setting up goals for myself in the future. I wanted to publish a poetry book, and I wanted to go back to school. I wanted to plan an outreach event. And yes, I wanted to become a public or motivational speaker. I love sharing what has happened in my life to those that hope, just the hope that someone can grasp onto something that I have went through in my life, and they can hold on to that to where they would turn their life around. So, I tell you the challenge today. And we will talk about this challenge more in our breakout session this afternoon, and I'll give you the details of what it takes to overcome these obstacles in our past. I'll give you a brief synopsis of what this looks like now. It's called the 180-Day Challenge. We set aside 6 months in our life, much like the idea of what I set up in my life. I wanted to go back to school. I wanted to publish that book. I wanted to set up events for those and let them know the community does care, no matter what your struggle is. And I wanted to share my story. You know, I set up 180 days for this challenge, and of course, on the spiritual side of things, I prayed and I asked God for help in these things. But it came down to the point, I cannot accept no anymore in my life if I truly want to overcome. And the ultimate question is, will I hear a no? Absolutely, you're going to hear a no. You're going to hear it. It's a viable answer. But do you have to accept it today? Absolutely not. That is your choice. And some of you I see, of course, the foreheads, they wrinkle. But here's the thing. If I go to you and I say, may I have a job, and you say no, I don't have to accept that no. I may have to listen to it. But I take that as a challenge that the next person that I come to may have a yes, or the next person may have the yes. But I guarantee you, if you stay resilient, if you stay motivated, you're going to find that person, and that next person that you come to may have that yes. But if you take the no as an answer that's what everyone's going to say, you're never going to find yes. You're never going to get to yes. Does anybody want to know in 180 days out of these 4 challenges that I put before myself? I'll give you a guess. It was less than 180 days. Yeah. 109 days with much prayer and with much want to overcome from what I had done in the past. 109 days. I was accepted back into Missouri State University, which I have now graduated with my Bachelor's of Science and on to graduate school. I have published a poetry book called Raised to Redemption, which we have some of them with us here today. Planned an outreach event. We've got a 2nd annual one coming up called Outreach in the Ozarks. Over 400 people attended this event. Nothing more than just to see the people in this community and in other communities know that people care about them. And then the motivational speaking. I've given this story in many different venues to many different crowds of many different sizes. I'll be honest, I just wanted to share my story. But I stand here today if you truly want to change your life and you want to find that opportunity of getting to yes and not accepting just no because that's what everybody's always told you. You have the opportunity. You know, I have a beautiful, beautiful life today. I was once a 7-time convicted felon. Spent 5 years of my life in the penitentiary. But through the want to change, through the want to do better, for the want to show my family that I was just not a felon. I run a ministry today. I sit on several state advisory councils, and I have been blessed with a beautiful family and a baby boy. So I tell you, whatever you want to do, the power lies within each one of you and in me. If you want to change what it has been in the past and want to change for a better and more positive future, you can do it today. But remember this, you've got to want to get to yes. Thank you very much.